right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, Nick Walker shooting his shot at Big Ramy and towards the Olympia stage. Now, he successfully called his shot at the New York Pro and the Arnold Classic back-to-back, picking up back-to-back wins at both shows. Now he's saying in the caption of his latest post on Instagram, there's no winter in Orlando, which obviously is an indirect shot at Big Ramy, whose tagline is "Winter is coming." That is what he said at the 2020 Olympia press conference, and ever since then, that has been kind of the line associated with him, even though obviously it's a line from Game of Thrones. So the question on everybody's mind is, will the mutant also deliver in Orlando at the Olympia? Where will he land in the Olympia lineup? And right now, based on what we saw from him at the Arnold, if he looks as good as that or better, I'm leaning towards the top 3 Olympia placing for Nick Walker. I am a believer of the mutant hype train. And I also wanted to share with you guys, Michael Krizo apologized to Nick Walker. He says, let me read you guys his post here. He says, I just screenshotted my unfortunate reaction to one fan fiction comparison with me versus Nick Walker. While those who know me personally know also that I am often joking, trash talk even about myself. Also, I only recently started to learn English. This means also I don't feel properly the weight of some of my words. And while I canceled my inappropriate reaction immediately, some hyped fans managed to screenshot it and spread it around, but none of that I meant to offend, and I sincerely apologize to Nick Walker. I repeat, it's just my usual trash talk, which I often even use to myself. I wish you all good luck on the Olympia. So that was good to see, and I was actually surprised to see that, so I was glad that he actually did issue that apology to Nick Walker, and it's good to see some sportsmanship between the two. And I'm also sure, knowing the type of guy that Nick Walker is, he will be accepting that apology. Now, speaking of Nick Walker, one of the criticisms that I saw of Nick Walker's victory was actually that because William Bonac was absent, that was the only reason Nick Walker won. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's what I've seen some of the reaction be. And right here is the most recent posing video from William Bonac, which he says in the caption, this was taken 6 days away from the Arnold, so less than a week out. This is what Bonac was looking like. So I wanted to address that as well, because that's another question I've gotten a lot of is, if Bonac showed up, do you think Nick still would have won? And the answer to that question is yes. I do think if Bonac was there, the version of Nick that we saw would have beaten William Bonac whether he was there or not. I think Nick was going to win this show no matter what, and I think part of the reason for that, part of it is I think a lot of these guys came in off. A lot of these guys came in out of shape, and Nick did everything he said he was going to do. Even if Bonac came in on, though, I think Nick was so freaky and he just delivered to such an extent, I think Nick still would have beaten Bonac in this lineup. Now, I do want you guys to let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Nick versus Bonac, did he only win because Bonac wasn't there, or would he have beaten Bonac regardless? And also let me know about Krizo's apology. Do you think it was sincere? And then furthermore, what do you think about Nick Walker at the Olympia? What are his odds of placing top 3 or even winning the damn thing and beating Big Ramy and preventing winter from coming?
All right, guys, so I'm super excited to announce that today's video is sponsored by my good friends over at Old School Bodybuilding Clothing Company. As you can see, it's a shirt that I'm wearing right now, and they just released their Olympia t-shirts and their Olympia VIP package on their website. There's going to be a link in the description box below where you guys can go get your Olympia bundle of your own. So let's get into this package here. So these are my favorite right here, are the hats. I'm wearing one right now, actually, an Old School Bodybuilding hat. Now let's go ahead. I'll show you guys the shirts here. These should be their Olympia shirts. Shirt number 1. This is the long sleeve shirt. I'll show you guys the back here. And I believe this other one is the short sleeve shirt. Show you guys the front. Show you guys the back. All right, guys, so I just threw on the Olympia Bundle long sleeve t-shirt. So in the VIP bundle, you get the hat and you get 2 shirts that are the same size. So if you're an extra large, they're like a pre-organized bundle. So you would get this, the short sleeve shirt, and the hat, and then the 2 shirts would be the same size. That's what you get as the package deal for the Olympia VIP package if you go on the website and buy it.
Now, next up in the news, I saw this post about Nick Walker from a bodybuilder by the name of Demey, and this guy was a legendary old school bodybuilder. His opinion, he didn't really give his opinion, I guess, on Nick Walker in this post, but the topic that he addresses in this post is something that I wanted to address. And this is a guy he was a top Olympian in the 80s. A lot of people made the argument he should have won the Olympia. What year was that? 88. He was fantastic. So he put up this post where the image of the post, it says, "Not an opinion, just an observation. Older generations of bodybuilders now encourage and appreciate the sport for what they themselves thought competing or rejected at the time." So my interpretation of this is that he's referring to old school bodybuilders like himself that are giving Nick Walker props. And then he has the caption, "How do you feel about this?" And there's a really interesting discussion in the comment section, which I would also like to see in this comment section. So my opinion on this post is this. I think classic physique really changed everything. Having classic as its own division. Now guys that want to look like that and people that want to see that type of physique can watch that category. And bodybuilding is a separate entity now. Bodybuilding can keep going in that direction of the mass monster that it was already headed in. The Ronnie Coleman, the Jay Cutler, now to the big Ramys and the Nick Walkers. It was already headed in that direction. It slowed down a little bit because there was this era where we felt like it was getting too big and there was nothing aesthetic to look at. But I really think, and this is my observation, and this is kind of goes back to this post, I think classic physique changed the whole game in the sense that we don't really need to look for that from men's open bodybuilding guys. We don't really need to look for a vacuum pose in men's open bodybuilding. We don't need to look for necessarily an aesthetic physique in men's open bodybuilding. It is more pleasant to look at. But look, that's what classic physique is for. Now, I'm not saying, I think we should still hold men's open bodybuilding guys to the standard of they should be controlling their midsections, which Nick did. We don't want to see the bubble gut thing on stage. And it really hasn't been an issue. I think we've addressed that topic all over the internet. It's been addressed. And I really haven't seen it remain an issue in men's open bodybuilding. So the point, I guess, is older generations of bodybuilders giving guys like Nick Walker props. Why is that a problem at all? Because Nick Walker, while he might not be the prettiest physique, he's a mass monster. He brought a ton of muscle to the stage. He brought an incredible stage presence. He controlled his posing. The posing was phenomenal for a bigger guy. The conditioning was phenomenal. Not even for a bigger guy, just he was like the best conditioned guy on stage. He deserves props for coming in that big, that shredded, controlling his midsection. His posing was good. I don't see the issue here. This is what bodybuilding needs. If you're going to have a mass monster in bodybuilding, you're going to have a big guy, maybe not the prettiest physique. You want a guy like Nick. You want a guy that's going to deliver on what he says he's going to do. You want a guy that's going to come in shredded, not just big. You want a guy that's going to come in and be able to pose, not shake on every pose. You want a guy that's going to come in and control his midsection, not a guy that's going to have this big ballooned out gut. And Nick has done all of that while being a mass monster. So why not give Nick his credit? He deserves his props. If you want to see a physique like Arnold Schwarzenegger, we have classic physique to watch now. That division is huge. I think it's been the saving grace of the IFBB, really. The classic physique is the best decision I think they've ever made. And I love watching that division. But now, men's open bodybuilding, they can be the big guys that they want to be. And Nick Walker is playing that game to the fullest extent. He is being that big guy, but he's being the big guy that comes in shape, which is what I want to see. I want to see, if we're going to see a freak, we want to see a freak that's going to bring it from a conditioning standpoint, and that's what Nick is doing. If we're going to have a mass monster, I want it to be a mass monster like Nick that acknowledges, yeah, I've got kind of a blocky midsection. I could have a bubble gut. But you know what? I'm going to flex and control my abs so hard during this entire competition, you're not even going to notice that. And that's what Nick Walker does, and that needs to be acknowledged and respected. He's doing what we want a big guy to do. So props to Nick Walker. That's my opinion on this post. Now, next up in the news, Andrew Jacked, the training partner of Larry Wheels, apparently competed and won this weekend what he says is the most prestigious trophy in the UAE. And I think he looked phenomenal from some of the pictures that we've seen His legs looked much improved to me from a size standpoint. He really does have a phenomenal physique, and I know that his goal is to turn pro in the IFBB and get to the Olympia stage and compete over here, and he is certainly making the steps to do that. From an improvement standpoint, his physique looks a lot better than the last time we saw him on stage. And he also said in the caption of another post referencing this competition, he says this was just 60% for him. So this physique that he brought to this stage and won the whole show was a 60% version of his physique, because he says his coach didn't want him to go all in on this one because they've got bigger fish to fry in the coming weeks. So really, really solid version of Andrew Jacked. Yeah, I mean, he looks phenomenal. I believe he's trying to compete in classic physique as a pro. I want to say it's been like a year since we've seen him compete last. But man, he looks phenomenal. I'm excited to see him actually make an attempt and a run at getting a pro card. I think he would really do phenomenal in the IFBB if he makes it. And the final story that I have for you guys today, Roelly Winklaar. I know a lot of you guys are concerned about whether or not we're going to see Roelly Winklaar actually compete on the Olympia stage this year. Now, looking at his actual Instagram post, he doesn't really mention anything about his Olympia prep in any of the posts, but more recently, he posted a story that had a lot of people questioning whether or not he's going to be competing in 2 weeks based on how his physique looked in that story. He's getting into a cryotherapy chamber over there at O2 Gyms. And a ton of you guys, and I mean a ton of you guys, sent me this story and said, we don't think Roelly looks like he's competing in 2 weeks. And look, to be honest with you guys, I don't know. From what I understand, he pulled out of the Arnold relatively last minute, and he qualified for the Olympia off of a second place finish at the Europa Spain behind Nathan Diasha. So there's that as well. I don't think Roelly has ever qualified for the Olympia on a second place finish before. He usually qualifies by winning a show. So the only thing I'm thinking is maybe Roelly was disappointed in that performance. There's really no more opportunities to do better and get a better Olympia qualification. Maybe he does sit out the Olympia and the Arnold and focus on doing better next year. But do bear in mind that Roelly is an older bodybuilder. He is in his mid-40s. I believe he's 46. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. That's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It helps out a lot. It's free, it's easy, it's quick, and it does a tremendous service to this channel. So if you appreciate the videos, just make sure you take the time to hit like. As always, subscribe if you haven't already. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out.